Well, hello and welcome to this edition of Business Spotlight. And today I'm actually joined by Jess Fryer from Trace Recruitment. Hi, Jess, how are you?
I'm good, Natalie. Thanks ever so much for having me.
It's an absolute pleasure, Jess. So look, I'm looking forward to learning about your journey so far. So perhaps you could begin, Jess, by telling me a little bit more about yourself and about your journey and about then Trace Recruitment. I know you're relatively new in, so you've got a mix of things to talk about, both Trace Recruitment and what's gone before it. But yeah, just tell us a little bit about yourself to get started.
Yes, of course. So I'm Jess Fryer. I am one of the directors at Trace Recruitment. I've been recruiting in the accountancy and finance world for over 20 years now, so a long time. Mixture of background in terms of working in corporate as well as owner managed. And more recently, I've been running my own business, Recruitment Group, and recently merged with the guys at Trace Recruitment. So yeah, 7 weeks in.
Tell me a little bit more about Trace Recruitment and what makes Trace Recruitment stand out in your sector and, from your competitors.
Yeah, absolutely. So Trace Recruitment have been operating now for about 15 years. They have an office in London. They're an accountancy and finance recruitment specialist for commerce and industry, not-for-profit and financial services. The founders, Andy Lee and Gareth Cohen, amazing guys. So I'm really excited to be working with them. Trace as a business, very geared towards service delivery, and it's not just about the technicalities of what's on a CV. It's very much about the right fit. So they're very much geared around skills, qualification, competency, but also culture fit. And it was a really everything I stand for in terms of recruitment. So merging with my business with Trace Recruitment, it just made sense.
So there's a nice cultural fit between the two, shared values.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Brilliant. So Jess, tell me a little bit then about your business journey so far, and then we'll kind of come on to lessons that have been learned across that. But you say you've been doing this for 20 or so years now, so there's a lot to share with us about your experience. So just tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah. So I had a great career in corporate for about 10 years before transitioning, I suppose, into the startup world. I spent a number of years working for an owner managed business and learned a lot of things that I perhaps wouldn't have learned in the corporate world, and then made the leap into starting my own business. And I started Clara Recruitment Group 6 months before the pandemic. So a real emotional journey for me, actually, going into trying to build something of my own 6 months before a pandemic. And typically when anything happens with the economy, recruitment's one of the first things to grind to a halt. So it was tough, but it was also an opportunity, and the way that recruitment has evolved over certainly the last 3 years, we've had to change the way we work, and it's been an exciting journey.
So yeah, there's interesting you mentioned that recruitment's had to change. I mean, we've all gone online a lot more. What would be some of the key things that have happened then within recruitment?
I think typically recruitment has always had a stigma for being quite archaic in the way that we work. We've never really embraced technology the way that we're embracing it now, and it's, I think, because we've had to adjust. Our meetings typically were always face to face, whether that be with a candidate or a client, and that actually can be quite time consuming. So having to go out and visit a client, which is really still important, by the way, or getting a candidate to come in and interview them in the office, it would often slow the process down. So I think now that we've moved on more online, and embracing technology so much more than we used to, it's actually speeding the process up. So yeah, it's definitely it's helped, because it's forced us into this way of working and moving with the times.
Accelerated that transition by the sounds.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So Jess,
For the better.
for the better, yeah. So Jess, across all of your experience so far, if you were to choose one lesson to share with our spotlight audience, what would it be?
Oh, one lesson. Okay. I think as I've evolved as a recruiter and grown up as a recruiter, I think it's learning that we can't. It's impossible to service everyone the way that they want to be serviced, and what I mean by that, I have my values and how I like to recruit, and what I believe to be a good recruitment consultant. And that may not marry up to how a hiring manager wants to work, or a talent acquisition manager wants to work, or HR. So I think it's really important that when you are working with a client or a candidate, there is that level of understanding of how everyone likes to work and how they should be working, to provide the best service. I won't compromise on my service, because ultimately it's my name, my reputation, and not only that, it's also Trace Recruitment's reputation as well. So if I feel that I'm having to compromise on something, that I'm not able to deliver that great service that I promised to my clients and my candidate, then I'm probably not the right recruiter to work with that client or that candidate. And it's okay to step away, and that sometimes is a decision. It's a really tough decision to make, but it's an important one, because if you're not meeting the expectations of your client or your candidate, or you're not true to yourself, then no one's going to be happy. So I hope I'm making sense.
Yeah, no, you definitely are. Yeah, and I think it's a really...
but I do think it does take time to kind of build that confidence to be able to walk away from something if it's not right. Because ultimately you want to fill jobs, you want to do a great job for your client and your candidate. And if you're not going to be able to do that for whatever reason, then take a step back, and figure out for yourself or with your boss whether you're the right person to manage that process.
Yeah, it's easier, isn't it, once you've got more clients and you're more established, but it's tougher in the early days.
It's not about picking or choosing, or cherry picking what you want to work. That's absolutely not what I'm suggesting here. But I think, there have been scenarios where perhaps a client's expectation is not realistic, or a candidate's expectation is not realistic, and if you can't come to that agreement where everyone's happy, then you've got to decide whether your time is best placed with working on that.
Yeah, and walk away, as you say, and move to the next
Absolutely.
one.
Yeah.
So Jess, with now you're at Trace Recruitment and you've joined forces with them. What are some of the plans that you've got for the future and aspirations, and also maybe some of the challenges that you foresee coming up?
Yeah. Oh, so we are going to be opening an office in Reading, so really super excited about that.
Congratulations.
We are hiring as well, so we are currently looking for an associate consultant and a resourcing manager. So we've got lots of stuff to kind of start building up our team, and it's really to launch our brand across the southeast region, main areas being Berkshire, Surrey, Hampshire. And with the fact that we can work remotely now, or hybrid working, it's a great opportunity to bridges that gap between London and the home counties. And we are really well placed to resource great candidates for our clients and find some great clients for our candidates, because we've got that bridge. So absolutely very exciting time, and I'm super excited.
So the challenges are going to be about growth then. You mentioned team,
yes,
as well as new office.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's we've got a really strong client base as well. So the fact that we can open it up now, and really service and find some great candidates for those clients, it's really exciting. I'm super excited.
Sounds like you're going to be busy, Jess.
Yes.
Very good. So Jess, I've asked you about one lesson that you've learned, but if we were to take a similar theme but go back to meet Jess when Jess is 18, is there one piece of advice you would give 18-year-old Jess about being in business or starting in business?
I always remember somebody saying to me, and I got into recruitment when I was 19, so that's really young. And I remember my boss at the time, she was fantastic, by the way, but I always remember her saying to me that I had a very old head on my shoulders at the grand old age of 19. I think if I could go back, I'd probably say don't take yourself too seriously. It's okay to laugh at yourself. It's okay to make mistakes, and don't give yourself such a hard time, because I absolutely used to, beat myself up over things I didn't really need to. So I think that would be the one thing I'd go back and just say, look, relax, it's going to be fine. Just don't, enjoy it. Don't take yourself too seriously.
That's a great piece of advice, and I can relate to that myself.
Yeah.
So Jess, my penultimate question is really, what inspires you to keep going and working as you do?
The way I feel about placing a candidate now is the same as when I first started to recruit. I am still genuinely happy and elated for that candidate and the client when I've managed to find the perfect fit and the perfect match. And that still to this day makes me so happy. I don't care whether it's a finance director level or a grad or somebody making their first move into finance. I don't care what level it is. I still get so happy. I'm so happy for them. And that I've been able to kind of facilitate that process. The minute that goes, I perhaps need to think about my work choices.
Right.
But no, that for me is that for me is enough. Yeah, that's what does it for me.
Excellent. And I've got a very specific follow-on question for you, Jess, and this is more my interest, but for you, when is that matching moment? Is it when both sign to say, yeah, I want to come, and is that the moment, or is it when they start? Where is it for you?
It starts at the very beginning, from when I interview the candidate to meeting a client. So, I'm quite proactive in an approach that if I've had a meeting with a client maybe 3 months ago and I've then interviewed a candidate, and I may not have a role on with that client at a particular point in time, but because of the relationships I build, I like to be a little bit proactive in my approach. So I will approach the client and say, I've met this candidate, and we'll have a discussion. And it's at that point, if I can, I guess, make the meeting work and it all works out well and there's an opportunity, then great. But when you find the right candidate for that right role, I think regardless, you could be working on a role and you've got somebody in your mind already going, oh, that person's going to be great for them, and then it's done. It's over. The candidate's over, and it all works out well. It doesn't always work as smoothly as that. I think any recruiter will say that the logistics sometimes there can be quite a few bumps in the road, but I think most recruiters will have that same, penny drops. I've got a great candidate for this, and
Right. Yeah, you just know you've got that match that you're excited about.
Absolutely. That's always really good feeling when that happens.
Excellent. And so my last question then, Jess, is do you have any news to share about Trace Recruitment coming up that you'd like to share with our network?
Well, apart from the biggest news, which is our launch to the Southeast region, we've got a huge, I've never seen so much talent of recruiters under one roof as I have with Trace. They are all genuine people that really just want to do a great job for their clients and their candidates. And I'm in awe of them, 25 years in the industry, and I'm sat in the office just listening to them. I mean, these guys are fantastic. And the fact that I'm able to kind of bring that out to the Southeast, as well as hire and really follow their ethos as well of how they work, and it's great. So yes, answer your question, next few months we'll be opening up our office in Reading. We're hiring. So anyone that's interested in a career in recruitment and wants to work with a truly amazing company, give me a shout.
There we go. That's a good plug for Trace Recruitment. So, well, thank you, Jess. It's been a real pleasure getting to know you and more about, your journey so far, and of course this exciting opportunity that you've got going on and the new office that you're opening up in Reading as well. So I'll let you get on with your day. So thank you, Jess.
Thank you so much for your time.
My pleasure.
Take care.